We are honored to return home, even if virtually, to share in this exciting moment with all of you. We would like to thank Dean Chopa and all the members of the faculty and administration for inviting us to this 2021 Colburn commencement. Today, we celebrate your years of effort and passion that have allowed you to thrive in this supportive community of artists. I clearly remember my first day gathering with the other excited new students in Thayer Hall for our orientation to the then young school's mission and traditions, but also of how quickly my heart escalated as I learned of the core fixture of Colburn's rigorous curriculum, the Performance Forum. Initially, the thought of performing for an audience of my hyper-talented classmates, as well as all of my teachers, seemed like throwing myself into the lion's den. I eventually learned to embrace the pressures of Forum, making later performances at Carnegie or Wigmore Hall seem not quite so scary. But I will admit I'm still conditioned to get butterflies in my stomach around 11 a.m. on any given Thursday. As my violin teacher, Robert Lipset, often reminded us about every string player's Achilles heel, the dreaded fourth finger, you either use it or lose it. This mentality applies to everything about our Colburn education, learning through experience rather than just mere theory to prepare us for the rigors of a musical career. Mr. Lipset's guidance, along with the wise words of our other Colburn mentors, continues to resound and guide us on our path years after leaving 200 South Grand Avenue. Life is not a bagel. This unofficial Colburn slogan, coined by our beloved conductor and clarinet teacher Yehuda Galad, is perhaps more potent today than ever before. With each passing year, the increasing complexity of our lives has allowed us to derive more meaning and comfort from the words of Yehuda's annual welcome speech, especially his assertion that to be a great musician, we must have a sense of humor. Initially, I probably understood that phrase to mean it was okay to crack jokes with the other freshmen in the back of the second violin section. But as I've lived with those words, I realized that the success of any relationship, even that which we have with ourselves, is dependent on our ability to laugh at our mistakes, let go of misunderstandings and difficult situations. We've seen this exemplified in our mentors time and time again, like the members of the Guarneri or Emerson quartets, throughout our rehearsals, interviews, and coachings together. Undoubtedly, humor is one of the ingredients to their success and longevity in their career. In confronting setbacks, we must consider the phenomenon of the anti-bio. The anti-bio, described to us by our formative mentor, Paul Coletti, is a list that describes every failure, loss, or setback that an artist experiences in the pursuit of their dream. Many of you would be surprised to read through the archives of international music competitions and find that legends such as the violinists David Oistrakh or Gidon Kramer were not always among the first prize winners. Accepting the anti-bio as an unavoidable reality helps us to assuage the fear of failure most of us confront at one point or another. It helps pick us up and to try again for the next audition, concert, or competition, and establishes that the only true failure is not trying at all. Finally, I would like to address the power of gratitude. This was a quality that our first manager, mentor, and dear friend, Laura Leopins, exemplified. In our initial meeting together, Laura spoke of how even something as simple as a handwritten thank you card can have a tremendous impact on building relationships between an artist and their supporters. In the dozens of phone calls we shared after graduation, she would always end the conversation by reaffirming how excited, proud, and grateful she was to have us in her life. Her words and actions epitomize the Colburn spirit. We see in each of you the same kind of hope, loyalty, ingenuity, and talent that Laura worked so hard to promote, and we feel immensely grateful to be celebrating this moment with all of you today.
On the 13th of March 2020, the quartet landed back in New York, not knowing that this was the last time that we would see each other for many months. Considering the longest time that we had been apart in the last decade was measured in weeks, not months, this was an unprecedented time of uncertainty. At the time, we were swamped with a binder full of repertoire, which by itself was keeping me up at night. The first cancellations started to come in, and in all honesty, there's a brief moment of relief. At the time, I fully expected our fearless foursome to be back on stage in a matter of weeks. Once concerts were beginning to be canceled months in advance, I knew that I had to recalibrate my expectations. With the absence of travel and rehearsals, this allowed me to spend time with solo repertoire that otherwise would have remained in the need-to-learn pile for all of eternity. After this honeymoon stage, I quickly realized that there was something missing, and that there was no amount of Netflix that could fix it. The something missing was making music with others and sharing our voice with an audience. After what seemed like several lifetimes, the quartet reunited in late June for a few outdoor concerts and live stream recordings. Our first rehearsal back was something that I soon won't forget. The first notes we played were that of Beethoven Opus 130. I was immediately overwhelmed with emotion and a revitalized appreciation for this eternal music. This strange and unique time has reinforced our passion for music making and has shown itself to be an essential part not only of our lives, but our identity as people. No matter what this world throws our way, we can be certain that music will always keep us going.
Wow, what a tough year it's been. With the world and all of the music industry at a halt, it has been hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like so many, I have struggled with the anxiety at the uncertainty of what the future brings, both professionally as well as personally, with so many of my friends and colleagues being scattered across the world to wait out this pandemic. But for the first time, things are looking up. We thank the many committed individuals and organizations for creating amazing virtual performances that have both helped musicians continue to develop and present their craft and help audiences by filling a small part of the void that this pandemic has created. However, we have recently been feeling from our contacts on the ground in New York City and from everyone we have met in some of our recent travels a boiling need for the real thing. In-person performances with audiences present. Audiences are yearning for the concert hall and to hear art created in the moment. Presenters are ready to bring in artists and are coming up with innovative and brilliant ways of hosting concerts in a safe fashion. The amazing donors that make our art form possible are still here and waiting to help support all of us and allow us to continue our craft. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Our art form not only will continue, but it will explode as the world becomes safer and safer. With the isolation and the negativity that all of us have had to battle throughout this pandemic, our art form has never been more relevant and never more needed than now. If we were all together in Zipper Hall, I would say to turn around to your fellow graduating classmates, as well as all of those continuing on at Colburn, who would be behind you cheering you on with incredible enthusiasm. I would ask you to be thankful for all of the support that you have received from those around you, and to know that you are leaving or starting anew at Colburn with hardened friendships with some of the most incredible musicians in the world that will continue on and flourish throughout your careers. We are making it out of this pandemic by sticking together, by helping and loving one another, and by staying positive in the face of an event that we will carry with us for the rest of our lives.
So much was asked of our music students across the world during this pandemic. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, you were still expected to continue your progress as artists by connecting with your teachers and peers, sometimes thousands of miles away. You were, on top of that, expected to communicate and be reached at all hours of the day and night. Then we asked what seemed impossible. To have faith in the future of your field and trust that this new isolated world away from our beloved audiences would soon pass and that we would be together again soon. Each of you delivered in your own way, despite having many reasons not to. Every time you started that video for a lesson, perhaps helped a less tech-savvy teacher attempt to screen share, let us know that we were muted, sometimes by text, or even joined a webinar, or managed to get that YouTube link uploaded, you are telling us that things were going to be all right, and that this was all worthwhile. If students are able to persevere and push themselves against so many obstacles, music was powerful enough to make it through this challenging time. Turns out, as your teachers and as professional artists, we needed this connection the most. We needed to witness you grow artistically so that we too could have faith in our own work and the work we had done to build our careers to this point. Where did our inspiration come from during this devastating time for the arts? From you. Our inspiration came from your commitment, your curiosity, immense creativity, and incredible imagination. Through your hard work, you've kept our spirits up and our hearts full with immense hope and pride for the next generation of performing artists. You are part of an elite generation that has a level of empathy and drive like no other because of what you have been through. You will undoubtedly use this renewed strength and optimism to push the limits of the power of music and build on the tremendous contribution you've already made to classical music. As teachers and professional artists, we thank you for giving us hope when we needed it the most. And in a world of uncertainty, what we can be sure of is that each of you possess the passion to continue making a difference. Congratulations, Colburn's graduating class of 2021. We wish you all the best.
Congratulations, class of 2021.
Congratulations.